Good evening, Dr. Banerjee. This is Sean Duncan. I am doing a presentation over Case Study 2, Whole Foods Market, the Deutsche Bank Report. My partner is Sean Cometer. I have the privilege of doing questions 1, 2, and 3, so I will be going over Whole Foods' strategy as a business. I will be going over their industry and their competitors, and I will be going over if Whole Foods is sustainable over a period of time. So first of all, I'm going to start off with the Whole Foods strategy and what they try to do as a business. So when I first read the case study, I found out that they didn't start off as Whole Foods, which was awesome. They were a partnership between 4 gentlemen, and they created Whole Foods. And the way that they started their enterprise was they started expanding small stores throughout Texas, and then they started acquiring small natural organic firms across regions of the South. And then what we found out is they acquired one of the biggest East Coast natural Whole Foods retailers, which was Fresh Fields. And they had stores in many different states on the East Coast. They had stores in Virginia. They had stores in Pennsylvania, Illinois. Their headquarters was in Maryland. So they had a great reach to Washington, D.C. and started expanding out there, which was key for their business because they were only, at the time, a Southern region natural organic store. So they wanted to get their message out to the people of America. Hey, we're selling the nicest, freshest, cleanest food available. You can get your food from a nice retailer like Walmart or stores like that, or you could come here and get the freshest, cleanest food available. So that's one of their strategies that they used, was a growth strategy. They wanted to grow their business. They wanted to take a bite out of the market share in the grocery industry, and they were able to. Now they're one of the top selling grocers in the industry, not only the top natural and organic selling company, but they are also up there with the Walmarts, Costco's, Targets of the world, Kroger's, and sales. And they have increased their sales almost every year ever since they've started. Another strategy that they use, and it is a good strategy, but it is also a bad strategy, and that's their pricing strategy. You know, a lot of people who go to their store think they're spending their whole paycheck at Whole Foods, which is kind of true. It is very pricey. But what they do is, it's a kind of a strategy that they obviously use, is they put their stores in region of high income levels, which is, your average Joe is not going to be coming to the grocery store everybody makes a grocery run probably once a week. And if you go to Whole Foods once a week for your groceries, then you're in big trouble. You're going to be spending a lot of money, so you better have a high income level. So it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. So Whole Foods is trying to fight the problem of fighting the two-edged sword. So they've tried to reach out to the average Joe to increase their customers, because they're already hitting the high income level customer. So now they're trying to get that average Joe that's going to the local grocery store or the Walmarts of the world and try to get them to get the Whole Foods. So they've tried to implement a 365 and a 365 everyday value campaign, where every day, if you shop there, you can have great value for your buck. Or they've tried to, give away coupons. They've tried to do this and that. But if you're spending $250 or around $200 or $150 every trip to the grocery store, it's going to be difficult for you to maintain a good budget. So they're able to figure out a system, or they're trying to fight the Walmarts and Kroger's, the Costco's. They're now selling natural and organic foods, and they're selling it for a lower price. Is it fresher than Whole Foods? Probably not, but they're selling it and they're making money, and they're stealing income from Whole Foods. So Whole Foods they have to, and they're trying to fight that pricing strategy that goes against them, but also there's a reason why they make so good of sales, because their product is pricey. But it is what it is. So now I'll go to my third strategy that me and Sean came up with, was a product development. They're able to figure out a system that was able to rate how fresh the produce was on a number of criteria. So a small number of companies within the industry do not go in depth with the consumer. They don't go in depth of what the consumer is eating like Whole Foods does. If you look at their website, it is detailed. They give you tips on what you're eating and how to save money. They have, if you look on any of their produce, they have a section on what's in the food. If it's genetically modified, they label that. They're one of the first companies to implement that, which is huge, because not many companies were listing what was in their genetically modified products, but now Whole Foods is, which is getting the rest of the companies that are in the grocery industry to label their genetically modified produce. So now I'll get to my second question here that I'll be going over. How would I define the Whole Foods industry, and who are their competitors? Well, it wouldn't take you too long to figure out Whole Foods as grocers. You got the local retailers, you got the conventional grocers, you have natural and organic companies in the same market as Whole Foods. Those companies in the natural and organic industry that Whole Foods is trying to fight off is Sprouts in the fresh market. They're not taking a big market share out of Whole Foods, but they are taking a little slither out of Whole Foods' market share in the natural and organic retailer. There's a great graph inside of Brunner of, the average sales growth of Whole Foods compared to other natural and organic industries, and they've had a big spike over the past, well, it was back in 2010 through 2013, so it's not recent, but you see the spike that they have in sales over the past 5 years, which is concerning for Whole Foods, because not only are they trying to fight off super centers like Walmart and Target and conventional grocers like Kroger and Safeway, but they're now having to fight off in their own retailer, which is obvious, but they weren't having these issues. Now that Sprouts and the fresh market are coming alive, they're having a difficult issue fighting off the fierce competition inside the grocery industry. And that's what the Whole Foods industry is in. They're in a fierce, tough, and competitive industry. It is hard to carve out a good market share in the grocery industry, and Whole Foods is able to do that with the growth strategy like we talked about, by expanding their stores and acquiring other smaller natural organic companies around the country. And a great graph that I saw, or I made a couple of graphs of the market cap of equity between Whole Foods, the fresh market, and Sprouts Farmers Market. So the three companies that are in the natural and organic retail. And the market cap, Whole Foods, they almost triple. They have 14 times the market cap of the fresh market, and about 3 times, the market cap of Sprouts Farmers Market, which is amazing. They have carved out a huge market cap in the natural and organic retailer, almost running a monopoly. Not many companies are going to be able to compete with 14,481, and that's a million. So their sales is 6 times of Sprouts Farmers Market, and 12 times the sales of the fresh market. They're doing a great job of just controlling and saturating the whole natural and organic industry. So now I'll move on to my last question. How attractive is Whole Foods? What's their current market position, and is the position sustainable? It is very much sustainable. I just went over their absolute almost monopoly over the natural and organic retail. They cannot compete with Walmart, Target, and Costco, obviously, because not only do they have food and other Not only do they have food, but they have clothes, they have so on and so forth, so they can't compete with those sales. They don't, I mean, unless Whole Foods acquired some other company and did a merger, so when you go to Whole Foods, you're able to buy, buy your groceries, but hey, maybe Whole Foods can merge with, J.C. Penney or something. Just a thought, where they can not only saturate their foods, but they can saturate the consumer of getting clothes or a TV, because that's how Walmart and the big companies do that. Not only can people go to a Target to get food, but they also can get their toiletries and other things like that. So that's why their sales are more inflated than Whole Foods, because Whole Foods only sells food. And you look at Deutsche Bank did a great model and showed, I mean, they projected Whole Foods to have increased sales over the next 2 years, increased return on capital. I mean, they have no signs of having a downturn. They did have a little dip, because that was because of the Sprouts and the Fresh Market coming into the market and stealing some of that growth away from Whole Foods. But other than that, maybe their pricing, but they are here to stay in the grocery industry. They are not going anywhere. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it, and have a good night.